Today at the law office, my assistant came in looking a little uneasy, saying that a strange woman insisted on meeting me for legal consultation. I nodded and asked her to let the woman in, but to keep security nearby just in case. When Linda Myers walked through the door, she didn't wait for any greeting. She went straight to the question. Attorney Thompson, if my husband spent our joint savings on another woman, can I legally get that money back? She stood there, eyes fixed on me. I raised my brows, trying to stay professional, but a flicker of confusion passed through my mind. The question was way too direct, too personal for a regular consult. No matter how much he spent, that money doesn't belong to the other woman, right? She went on, voice rising a bit, like she was pushing for a confirmation. I took a deep breath, organizing my thoughts. I'm a lawyer, I need to be patient, need to explain things clearly. I started answering, walking her through the legal regulations about marital property, about the right to reclaim shared assets, trying to keep my tone calm and professional. She nodded in satisfaction when I finished, a slight smile on her lips. But it wasn't friendly. There was something calculating in it. Then she pulled out her phone, tapping quickly, like she was checking something for the last time. Done, she turned to me, her eyes sharp with resolve. All right, you're a lawyer, so I'll just say it straight, she said. If you don't want to make this a big deal, give me back the $5.6 million my husband spent on you. The words hit like a bomb, freezing me in place. The woman in front of me leaned her chin on one hand, the other reaching out toward me, palm open, like she expected me to hand over the money right then and there. Her tone sounded casual, like talking about the weather, but underneath it was a cold threat that made the air suddenly heavy. Give me the money, then stay away from my husband forever, and I'll let it go. She went on, eyes locked on my face, studying every tiny reaction. If not, you're a lawyer, so you know. I, as the legal wife, have many ways to get it back. I could feel the chill in her words, like a warning wrapped in politeness. By then, your reputation will be affected too, and since you're a woman, I'd rather not make things ugly. I looked at her outstretched hand, fingers slightly curved, like ready to grab something. That's when I finally understood what she meant. An enormous, ridiculous misunderstanding that almost made me laugh, but quickly turned into shock. She thought I was her husband's mistress. No wonder she waited outside so long, just to ask those legal questions like bait. My mind raced. I've been married for 5 years, living a steady life, working at the law firm, going home, hitting the gym on weekends. There's no chance I've been involved with anyone's husband. This is completely absurd. I gently but firmly pushed her hand back, trying to keep my voice clear and steady. Ms. Myers, I think you must be confusing me with someone else. I've been married for years and haven't had any connection with your husband. I paused, watching her face. There was a flicker of doubt. There must be some misunderstanding here. I'm happy to clarify whatever I can. As long as we can resolve this mix-up, I figured once I explained, she'd realize the mistake and leave, and I could get back to my day. But out of nowhere, she suddenly stood up, so fast the chair rattled, then pulled a thick stack of photos from her bag and slammed them on the desk with a loud smack. Still pretending to be innocent? How could I be mistaken? The woman in the photos is obviously you. Her voice shot up, furious, eyes blazing. Married and still being another man's mistress? Shameless. And a famous lawyer, too. You can't even keep your own morals in check. How do you have the right to handle other people's affairs? Her words cut like knives, leaving me speechless. I picked up one photo that had fallen on the floor and looked closely. The person in those pictures was me. Candid shots, taken from different angles, like someone had been watching me for a while. I was stunned, heart pounding in my chest. It looked like she had been investigating me for a long time, carefully planning this whole confrontation. I asked hesitantly, my voice slightly trembling from the confusion rising in my chest. What's your husband's name? How long have you been married? I leaned back in my chair, trying to keep a calm expression, but my mind was spinning in chaos. If this was a misunderstanding, I had to clear it up now, not let it drag on. Michael Evans. She tilted her head to one side, long hair falling over her shoulder, speaking with confidence. My fiancé, but we're getting officially married in a few days. She paused, her eyes scanning my face like she was searching for signs of panic. Lately, I found out my fiancé has been coming to see you, so what's wrong with me following him? I'm his soon-to-be wife. Her voice rose slightly, laced with a note of self-justification, as if she was trying to convince herself more than me. I'm doing this so that if anything goes wrong later between me and him, I've already dealt with you first. The words dropped like a heavy weight, making the air in the room suddenly feel suffocating. A chill ran down my spine as unease began to creep in. Michael Evans? Isn't that my husband's name? He's getting married again? How come I don't know anything about this? No way, my Michael is loyal, loving, we've been together for years. But how could the name match exactly like that? Could it be? Just then, my phone screen lit up with a soft ding, cutting through my whirlwind of thoughts. It was a message from Michael. I glanced down, my heart skipping a beat. Hey Jennifer, what do you feel like eating today? Want to go to a restaurant? What time do you finish work? I'll come pick you up, okay? Next message. It's our 5th wedding anniversary today. I've already prepared a surprise for you. Get ready. Those familiar words felt like a wave of warmth washing away some of my unease. I breathed a quiet sigh of relief, smiling to myself. Michael was still the same as ever, thoughtful and loving. I knew it. It had to be a mistake. Probably just someone with the same name. That's all. Michael and I had dated for 3 years, married for 5, and everyone around us admired the love we shared. Nights curled up, watching movies, spontaneous trips, whispered affection every morning. He couldn't possibly be seeing another woman, let alone betraying me. After all, I often handled cases of cheating husbands on behalf of women. I knew that kind of pain well. But this time, it wasn't mine to carry. I stayed calm and gently explained to her, my voice soft like I was soothing a confused client. Michael and I have been married for 5 years. I paused, looking her straight in the eye to emphasize. Ms. Myers, I really think you've mistaken me for someone else. I'm not the person you're looking for, and since you're not legally married yet, you won't be able to reclaim any money. I gave a small smile, trying to show goodwill. You can add me on some kind of contact method. If anything comes up, I'm happy to give you 1 free consultation. I thought my approach was kind and professional enough. I'm a lawyer, after all, and if I can help, I should. But Linda slowly sat back down, crossing her legs with a poised but defiant grace, reclining back casually and letting out a dry chuckle. A laugh that sounded more like mockery. Do you think I'm some kind of idiot who's easy to fool? I've said it enough times. I've found the right person. 5,600,000. That's my fiancé's money, and I have the right to get it back. Her voice pitched higher, eyes flashing with anger, fists clenched on the table. Either pay up and cut ties with him forever, or I'll make sure you face legal consequences today. That threat swept through the room like a cold gust of wind, making it crystal clear just how relentless she was. She either didn't understand a word I said, or deliberately chose to ignore it, like she was living in a reality of her own making. I rubbed my temples, feeling like my head might explode, the veins in my face twitching, the exhaustion rising like a tide. What kind of day is this? Why am I dealing with a client like this today? There are other clients waiting outside, and tonight I'm supposed to leave work early to celebrate my 5th anniversary, thinking about Michael's smile, the bouquet he's prepared, the romantic dinner. All of it was being ruined by this woman. Today should have been beautiful, full of sweet memories, not dragged into this absurd drama. I didn't want to waste another second arguing. It was enough. Time to end it. I pressed the button to call my assistant, my voice firm but still professional. Call security and have her escorted out. My assistant arrived quickly, and security stepped in with a stern look. As she was being led out, Linda was clearly unwilling. She resisted slightly, her face red with fury, eyes locked on me. Jennifer Thompson, I gave you this chance because you're a woman too. But when you're on your knees begging later, it'll be too late. That threat echoed through the hallway, full of rage and bitterness. Wrongly accusing me was one thing, but threatening me too? It honestly made me laugh. A tired, exasperated laugh. I replied calmly but firmly, my voice ringing out just before the door shut. Ms. Myers, don't forget, I'm a lawyer. We can talk again once you've calmed down. She didn't have time to say anything else before being escorted out, politely but firmly. The sound of her heels faded down the tiled floor, carrying the chaos she brought with her. The world finally went quiet again. The air in the room felt lighter. I sat down in my chair, exhaled a deep breath, trying to shake off the irritation still lingering. But in my chest, a faint unease hovered. Was this really just a simple misunderstanding? Or was something deeper waiting beneath the surface? Finally, it was time to leave work. I left the office, walked down into the parking garage with a heavy heart, my mind still haunted by the image of Linda Myers and that stack of photos she slammed onto my desk. The dim light in the garage sent a slight shiver through me, but then I saw Michael standing there, leaning casually against our familiar SUV, smiling brightly as always. He was wearing a light blue shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, still as handsome as the day we met. I climbed into the passenger seat, trying to force a smile, but inside my thoughts were a tangled mess. Michael reached over and gently brushed my hair back. Then he leaned in, looking at me with that playful, mischievous sparkle in his eyes. "Have you guessed your 5-year anniversary gift yet?" he asked, his voice warm and excited, like a kid about to reveal a secret treasure. I was just about to shake my head, already expecting it to be another expensive piece of jewelry like every year, when he pulled out a small box, wrapped in black velvet, gleaming under the soft garage light. I kept a neutral expression and opened it. As expected, it was a bracelet, studded with tiny sparkling stones, beautifully designed, but something about it felt familiar. I froze, my fingertips brushing against the cold metal. If I wasn't mistaken, Linda Myers, the woman who stormed into the law office today, she was wearing the exact same bracelet on her wrist. The design, the details, even the way the light reflected off the stones, it was identical. How could that be a coincidence? A chill ran down my spine, like someone had poured ice water over me. I slowly closed the box and set it aside on the seat, trying to mask the rising unease inside me. Michael noticed instantly. His eyes scanned my face, his smile fading just a bit. "What's wrong, babe?" Did something happen at the office? His voice was gentle, but I caught a hint of nervousness buried underneath, like he was feeling me out. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice calm, though doubt was already creeping into every corner of my mind. "Honey, do you know a woman named Linda?" I asked, locking eyes with him, watching for the smallest reaction. His smile froze for just a second, but I noticed it, a blink that was too quick, a slight tension in his jaw. "Linda? Why would I know her?" he replied, still soft-spoken, but there was something off. He was choosing his words too carefully. He turned his face forward, eyes fixed on the dim road ahead. "Why? Did she say something to you? Did she do something?" His tone was curious, but I could feel the tension behind his calm front. I leaned closer, studying his face under the flickering streetlights. "She showed up at the law office today, accused me of being her fiancé's mistress, even said she's been secretly investigating me," I said, pausing to watch his reaction. Michael kept his eyes on the road, but I saw his hands grip the steering wheel tighter, knuckles turning white under the glow. "Guess what? Her fiancé's name is exactly the same as yours, Michael Evans. Isn't that a bit too much of a coincidence?" I deliberately emphasized his name. "She had receipts, too, said her fiancé spent money on another woman, and came to demand I return $5,600,000. Ridiculous, right?" I went on, eyes locked on him, waiting for any sign. Michael let out a laugh. "That really happened?" "Yeah, that does sound insane." he said casually. Did she say anything else? He asked, still trying to sound light, but his hands were still clenched on the wheel, like he was holding something back. Outwardly, he seemed indifferent, but I knew him too well. 5 years of marriage isn't nothing. I could sense the tension in the way he tilted his head, the stiffness in his shoulders, the way he avoided eye contact. Clearly, he knew Linda, and clearly, this meant something to him. Or maybe, what Linda said was true. That thought stabbed into my chest like a needle, sharp and sudden. But I kept my face composed. Once suspicion takes root, it grows relentlessly. Like weeds overrunning the garden I once thought was perfect. We kept driving in silence, the air inside the car as heavy as a dark cloud hanging overhead. I looked down, quietly unlocked my phone, and texted my best friend Amanda Foster. She owns a private investigation company specializing in complex cases, asking her to investigate Linda for me. I hit send and waited, then turned off the screen and silently prayed. I just hoped the truth would come out soon. I also hoped the dark thoughts swirling in my head wouldn't turn out to be true. I glanced at Michael sitting beside me. He was focused on the road, but his face now looked oddly unfamiliar. The same features I once loved now blurred by a fog of doubt. Was he still my Michael, or had he become someone else without me even realizing it? He must have felt my gaze because he glanced over with a forced smile, his voice gentle but a little strained. What's wrong? Are you hungry? I shook my head, trying to suppress the anxiety. Just hang on a bit longer. We're almost at the restaurant I reserved, he said, patting my thigh lightly like it was meant to comfort me, but the gesture only made me feel colder. We arrived at the restaurant, a romantic place lit by candlelight and soft piano music, and just as we sat down, I took a deep breath to steady myself. But then Michael's phone suddenly rang, the sound piercing the air like a death knell. He quickly grabbed his phone, movement so fast it was like he didn't want me to see the screen, awkwardly trying to hide it. But I caught a glimpse. The caller's name clearly showed. Linda! My heart clenched, like someone had just squeezed it with icy hands. Was this really just a coincidence? Michael started to stand up to take the call elsewhere, but I grabbed his arm. Honey, who's calling? You've never tried to hide a call from me before? He froze, a flicker of hesitation crossing his face, his eyes avoiding mine like he was battling something inside. In the end, he chose to answer the call in front of me, his finger trembling slightly as he tapped to accept. He tried to sound normal, his voice light. Hello? But it didn't last long. His expression grew serious, brows furrowed, lips pressed tight, his voice becoming panicked. Okay, I'll be right there. Be careful, he said. After hanging up, he rushed off so fast he forgot I was still sitting there, watching him with questioning eyes. When he realized, he came back, face flushed with embarrassment, hastily explaining, David Parker was in a car accident. It's really serious right now. I have to go, his voice stuttered, his eyes not meeting mine. I'm sorry, honey. I can't have dinner with you tonight. I'll make it up to you next time, David Parker. That's my husband's best friend. But why didn't he ask me to go with him? And why such a clumsy lie? I grabbed his arm, my voice firm though I tried to stay calm. I'm coming with you? Michael looked stunned when I said that, his face turning pale, quickly brushing my hand off a little too harshly. You just got off work. You must be hungry. Eat first, and I'll come back for you after, he continued, voice shaky. I don't think it's anything serious. Then he softened his tone, as if trying to soothe me. Be good, baby. I'll be back soon. Don't worry too much. I watched him leave, his back disappearing beyond the restaurant doors, not looking back, and my heart was already frozen. I pulled out my phone, my hands trembling as I opened David Parker's profile. His most recent post, just 5 minutes ago, was a smiling selfie, holding a cocktail on a beach in another state, captioned, Living the Dream Vacation. My heart sank. There was no accident. I knew for sure now. The one who's hurt isn't David Parker. It's Linda. My worst suspicion had just been confirmed. The last bit of hope inside me was gone. The corners of my eyes burned, and I lowered my head to hide the tears falling down my cheeks. Michael and I, we were each other's first love. It was supposed to be a beautiful story, meant to last a lifetime, holding hands and growing old together in happiness. Who would have thought that after so many years of love, we'd come to this end so quickly, shattered like a sandcastle washed away by waves? I never imagined, after handling so many divorce and infidelity cases for clients, after hearing their pain, that I'd become the victim of the very field I specialized in, a family lawyer now living her own nightmare. I still remember when I first started out and took my first cheating and divorce cases. I once joked with Michael during a cozy night on our sofa. If one day you ever fall for someone else, just tell me honestly. Then I got serious. Let's be kind to each other until the end. He laughed, pulled me into his arms, his warm breath brushing my ear as he promised, I'll never love anyone but you, Jennifer. I swear, looking back now, I realize promises only mean something when there's still love. Now they dissolve like smoke, leaving behind a pain that cuts to the bone. I sat alone in that restaurant, the candlelight now blinding, the piano music echoing like mockery. Life is cruel, and I, a strong lawyer, now sat there crying over betrayal. Just then, the server started bringing out the dishes one by one, pulling me back to reality. I quickly wiped the tears at the corner of my eyes, brushing them away with the back of my hand, trying to hide my weakness from the young waiter's curious glance. He smiled politely and placed the salad plate in front of me without asking anything. Things had come this far. I needed to adjust my mindset to face the coming separation. I told myself that as I picked up the fork and tried to swallow each bite. While I was eating, my phone buzzed lightly on the table, screen lighting up with a message from Amanda. Babe, about their situation. I think you should prepare yourself. Those words hit my chest like a weight, making the food catch in my throat. Mentally, I had already been preparing for a long time. The next messages came like a storm. They've been together for 3 years. Michael even bought her a house and a car. Michael occasionally stays over with her, and it seems like she's pregnant. I froze, fork suspended in the air, food falling back onto the plate. Michael and I have only been married for 5 years, and they've already been together for 3? And now they're about to have a child? Michael was the one who didn't want kids. Now he's having one with someone else? It made me feel like a joke, like a cruel prank from fate. As a lawyer, I'm too familiar with people who forgive cheaters out of love. Clients who sit across from me, crying about how they forgave, only to be betrayed again. Without exception, it always ends in loss of love, of money, leaving only pain and regret. But me, I was going to fight for what's rightfully mine, our shared assets, my dignity, and the truth. I called Amanda, my voice trembling but firm. Come here now. We're going to confront the cheater together. Her voice on the other end was full of concern. Okay, I'm coming. Stay where you are. Soon after, we found the hospital where Linda was admitted. In the hospital room, through the half-open door, I saw Linda resting her head on Michael's shoulder, her long hair cascading down, face pale but playing coy. Michael, I'm pregnant, and yet our wedding keeps getting delayed. How much longer do I have to wait? Her voice was sweet, laced with gentle complaints, her hand stroking his arm. Michael stroked her hair, his voice soft. Soon, babe. I'm working on it. I pushed open the half-closed door with force, the sound breaking their warm moment. Michael, I want a clear explanation. You haven't even divorced me yet. How could you plan to marry someone else? My voice echoed through the room, cold, like a sentence being read out loud. Michael panicked when he heard me, shoving Linda off his chest so abruptly she almost fell. His face went pale, eyes wide in shock. Linda stared blankly at him, then turned and glared at me with hatred. What are you doing here? How could Michael be married to you? He never even got married, She shifted, reaching to grab the hem of Michael's shirt nearby, fingers clutching tightly as if clinging to her last hope. In that moment, every eye in the room turned toward Michael. From me, from Amanda behind me, with a furious look on her face, and from Linda, her eyes glassy with tears. Michael stumbled, overwhelmed by the pressure, and quickly stood up, trying to pull me outside to explain, gripping my wrist tightly. Jennifer, just hear me out. That hand had just been wrapped around Linda, and now it disgusted me. The unfamiliar scent of her perfume still lingered on his skin, making my stomach twist. I yanked my arm away forcefully, my voice biting and sarcastic. Don't touch me! What exactly are you trying to explain? That you've been cheating for 3 years? Or that you're having a baby with someone else? Amanda shoved Michael aside, backing me up, her voice sharp as a knife. CEO, Michael really is something else. Married and still planning a second wedding with another woman? Linda shot up from the bed in rage, stumbling forward unsteadily, face red with fury, gripping the bed frame for balance. Who the hell are you? Stay out of things that don't concern you. No wonder the two of you are best friends. You're both trash. After cursing us out, she turned to Michael again, pulling his hand, her expression turning pitiful, voice suddenly soft and pleading. Michael, what they're saying isn't true, right? You're not married, right? I know. It must have just been a moment of weakness. You were seduced by her. But deep down you love me, don't you? She continued, her voice trembling. I understand. The postponed wedding isn't your fault. It must be because you've been busy with something, right? She was even making up excuses to defend Michael. I thought bitterly, heart aching. She'd clearly been investigating me for a long time. Surely she found signs that Michael might have been married, but she refused to accept it. She never even confronted him, just stayed locked in her own fantasy. Michael stood there for a long time, saying nothing, his eyes darting between me and Linda, his face twisted in discomfort. Watching him struggle, unable to say anything clear, I decided to help him out, my voice cold. Michael, your mistress is desperate to get married. So tell me, when exactly are we getting divorced? I pulled out the divorce papers I had already prepared from my bag and held them up in front of him. They're ready. All you need to do is sign seeing the documents. Michael didn't take them. His face wavered, eyes dodging mine, fists clenched tight. He told Linda to wait in the room, then yanked me roughly out toward the stairwell, the movement so sudden I almost tripped. This time, he didn't give me a chance to break free. Amanda, worried for me, followed closely behind, her voice sharp and loud. Let her go, Michael! Michael cornered me at the dark stairwell, weak neon light from the hallway casting long shadows on the cold concrete walls. He turned and glared at Amanda, his face red with rage, his voice growling with irritation. Why are you following us? This has nothing to do with you. You don't need to be here. His fingers tightened around my wrist as if afraid I'd run, his breathing fast and heavy. Amanda folded her arms across her chest, standing firm like a wall, responding with a mocking smile. It's not your place to say whether it concerns me or not. She glanced at me, her eyes full of worry but unwavering, as if silently reminding me that I wasn't alone. I also made my displeasure clear, yanking my hand away from him, my voice cold. Michael, if you dared to cheat on me with another woman for 3 years, what else are you capable of hiding? When I said that, Michael turned to look at me. His eyes filled with a hint of sorrow, the corners reddening as if holding back tears. No, honey, I've never done anything to hurt you, I swear. His voice trembled, raising his hand like he wanted to make a vow. It was my parents. They pressured me. I didn't know what else to do. He really dared to use the excuse of parental pressure? He's a grown man. What kind of pressure forces someone to cheat? What kind of pressure pushes someone to plan a wedding with someone else and get her pregnant? And I remember clearly, his parents always liked me. Those warm family dinners, his mother's compliments about how independent I was. Why had he never mentioned any of this? Was he making it up now just to stop me from leaving? Before I could even ask, he started explaining on his own. My parents have been asking about children since we first got married. But you didn't want to have kids. I respected your decision. I'd never force you to do anything you didn't want, especially not to have a child, so I never said anything. He paused, his eyes pleading. Now they have a grandchild. Then he continued, his voice dropping low. But I'm not going to marry Linda. I just want the baby she's carrying. Once she gives birth, we'll raise the baby together. My parents won't complain, and you won't have to go through childbirth. In that moment, I honestly couldn't process what I was hearing. His words exploded in my mind like a bomb, my ears ringing, heart pounding out of rhythm. I had considered every possibility, cheating out of boredom, out of lust, but I never expected this. A cold, calculated plan to have a child without me having to sacrifice anything. But I remember when we got married, he said his parents supported our choice to not have children. If he really wanted a child, why didn't he just explain it to them properly? He could have talked to me. We could have figured it out together. Now that I've caught him cheating, he dares to use this excuse, like he's completely innocent, like he was forced into this. I was so furious I slapped him hard across the face, making him stumble a step back, his cheek flushing red. Are you insane? You've completely lost your mind. My voice shot up, filled with rage. He looked at me seriously and made a desperate promise. Jennifer, my love for you has never changed. He paused, his eyes glossy. I'll explain everything to Linda. I'll compensate her fairly. I won't let her suffer. I just want a child, Jennifer. That's all. I don't intend to marry her, but the core issue isn't whether he loves Linda or plans to marry her. It's that from beginning to end, he lied. To me, to Linda, to his own parents, all for his own benefit. In that exact moment, I realized, the man standing before me, I no longer recognized him. This was the same person I had loved for years, shared kisses and sweet whispers with. Why did he now feel like a stranger? I remembered clearly. He never used to be like this. He used to share everything with me, discuss things with me. And now, he could come up with a scheme to manipulate someone else into having his child? It was terrifying. So terrifying it made my skin crawl, like a cold shiver running down my back. I looked him straight in the eye, each word clear, without hesitation. Let's get a divorce, Michael. Hearing the word divorce, Michael exploded in anger, his face contorted with rage, gripping my shoulders so tightly that his fingers dug into my skin. I'm not divorcing you. Jennifer Thompson, I will never divorce you. You're divorcing me over a child? His voice pitched higher, full of wounded outrage. Do you even know how much pressure my parents have put on me over the past 5 years? I never told you any of it. I've endured all that alone. It was so hard for Linda to finally get pregnant. And now you want a divorce because of that? Ridiculous. Truly ridiculous. He said it like everything he did was for me, like he was some kind of martyr. But all I saw was selfishness, a mask finally slipping to reveal who he truly was. Michael struggled to his feet, laughing bitterly, his voice weak. I always wanted to be a father, but I knew you didn't want kids. I didn't know how to reconcile the two, so I made a terrible mistake. I calmed myself, taking a deep breath, the cold air of the stairwell biting into my skin. I didn't think my choice was wrong, and I didn't feel like I'd been unfair to him. Wanting a child isn't wrong. It's just that maybe this relationship was a mistake from the start. Maybe we never should have gotten married. Maybe we never should have let things drag on this long. Just then, Michael's phone buzzed in his pocket, the ringtone slicing through the tension in the air. He hesitated for a second, glanced at the screen, then answered. The moment his voice changed to soft and gentle. From the other end came Linda's trembling, panicked voice. Michael, where are you? Are you leaving me? You don't want me anymore? Her voice was shaking with fear. My stomach hurts. My legs are bleeding. There's so much blood. Can you come quickly? Michael, please, help me. My stomach. She hadn't even finished when the call abruptly dropped. Michael, hearing it was about the baby, instantly panicked. His face went pale, and he hurriedly turned to go find Linda. Before leaving, he tried to calm me, his voice pleading, "Honey, please don't be mad anymore, okay? The baby's important. Let's talk about this later. Don't worry, I will never divorce you. Honey, I'll never leave you." Watching his figure disappear down the hospital hallway, the sound of his footsteps fading into the distance, I wanted to say, "No, this isn't a small thing. This isn't insignificant at all." His words sounded full of affection, but his eyes only held panic about the baby, terrified something might happen to it, despite being in a hospital surrounded by nurses and doctors. Even though that child wasn't mine, he still put it first. Is this what love looks like? I couldn't see it. Asking me to accept that my husband has a child with another woman. I can't do it. So this relationship really doesn't need to continue. These days, living alone haven't been so bad. There's no sound of Michael's footsteps echoing through the house anymore. Just me, a steaming cup of coffee, a book in hand, and a piece I once thought was boring. I heard Linda's pregnancy is unstable, and Michael, worried about the baby, has chosen not to come home. For her emotional well-being, apparently. Instead, he stays at the other place, in the house he bought for her, taking care of her, worrying about her. And yet he still wants to soothe me, the wife left alone at home. He sends me handwritten letters to explain, white envelopes bearing his familiar handwriting. I held them in my hands, fingers brushing the paper, but I didn't read them, didn't open them. I quietly tossed them in the trash. We've reached the point of divorce, the point of separation, so what's left to explain? The next time I saw him was at court, beneath the cold fluorescent lights of the courtroom, the sound of the gavel echoing like a death knell for our marriage. Michael didn't look well. He sat there, dark circles under his eyes, shoulders slumped, the once fitted suit now sagging like he'd lost weight. Because I filed for divorce, he slammed the table in anger, his face flushed red, veins bulging on his forehead. "Jennifer Thompson, do you really have to go this far? Do you really want a divorce? Why make it such a big deal?" His voice was loud, full of resentment. Faced with his outburst, I simply replied calmly, my voice steady like I was reading a verdict. "I don't accept a husband who cheats." I paused, looked him straight in the eye, and caught the flicker of unease. "You didn't want to talk, Michael. The child you have with another woman, were you ever planning to tell me?" Michael looked like he wanted to say something. His mouth moved, his fists clenched, but in the end, he stayed silent and bowed his head. I don't even remember clearly how the trial ended. Just blurry images, the lawyer's statements, documents presented, the judge's murmurs. I only know this. I won. The divorce was finalized, and I was awarded most of Michael's assets, the house, the joint account, the investments he once bragged about, all to offset the money he spent on his mistress. When I walked out of the courthouse, the air outside was chilly. Michael rushed up to me, grabbing my wrist tightly, his fingers pressing into my skin like he was afraid I'd vanish. "Jennifer, wait!" He wanted to talk, his voice urgent, but then I saw Linda standing by the car parked nearby, cradling her pregnant belly under a loose coat, her pale face staring at us with blame in her eyes. As soon as she saw us looking, she yelled, voice shrill and dramatic, "Michael!" My stomach hurts. Her voice echoed down the street, making a few pedestrians turn to look. She clutched her belly, face twisted as if in real pain. Michael hesitated, his eyes darting between me and Linda. He turned to me, trying to explain in a stammer. "I didn't tell her to come. She just won't leave me alone. I really don't know what else to do." Then he gripped my hand again, eyes pleading, voice desperate. "I'll handle the pregnancy, I swear." "Once that's done, could you give me another chance?" His voice trembled. "I'll fix everything. We'll start over. We can go back to that warm home we used to have. But some things can never be returned to." I looked at him. The figure once so familiar now felt like a stranger. I said nothing, just quietly pulled my hand away, turned, and walked off without looking back, the sound of my heels echoing on the pavement, carrying with them the end of a painful chapter. Linda still stood there, calling his name, but for me, it was over. An ending I didn't regret, even if the ache in my chest still lingered. Later, through quiet coffee conversations with old friends, those who once witnessed our marriage, I came to learn about what happened between Michael and Linda. Bits and pieces of the story were told with regretful tones, like drifting wind carrying the dust of the past. Linda still insisted on marrying Michael, clinging to him like a withered leaf desperate to hold onto a branch about to snap, calling him constantly, showing up unannounced. But Michael refused. He shook his head, his voice tired and irritated. "Linda, that's enough. It's over." Then slammed the door shut, leaving her sobs echoing down the hallway. Linda wouldn't accept it. Their lives were anything but peaceful. She even stormed into Michael's office, barging in with her heavy pregnant belly, shouting in front of his coworkers, "Michael Evans is a liar. He promised to marry me and abandon me." Her face flushed red, finger trembling as she pointed at him, until security had to escort her out amidst whispers and stares. But what she got was still only Michael's cold refusal. After that rejection, Linda's emotions completely unraveled. She tried to spread rumors about Michael online, posting long, teary accusations. "Michael Evans deceived me, made promises, then left me when I was pregnant with his child," along with photos, hateful captions spreading like wildfire, stirring up a frenzy on social media. Eventually, Michael faced legal consequences, was fired from his company for misconduct, and walked out of the building with a cardboard box of personal belongings in hand, his face gaunt, shoulders slumped under the weight of collapse. Linda, meanwhile, became entangled in legal disputes with Michael over the house and car he once promised her. As for me, after the divorce, I threw myself into my career. Long days at the law firm, stacks of documents towering beside me, the rhythmic tapping of the keyboard echoing like the heartbeat of a new life. And then I won a major case, a complex infidelity scandal, where I stood in court with a steady voice, sharp evidence, and received praise from the judge. "Attorney Thompson, your argument was excellent." It led to a promotion, a move into a larger office with windows overlooking the bustling city, where morning light poured in, carrying with it the breath of freedom. Mornings waking up alone, making coffee in a tidy kitchen, I could feel peace spreading through me like a cool stream, washing away the dark clouds of the past. Afternoons walking through the park, the sound of children laughing in the distance, reminded me that life goes on. And now, I'm free to choose, to breathe, to live without being bound by false promises or buried secrets. New beginnings come through ordinary things. A good book on the shelf, a short getaway to the beach, where waves gently erase footprints in the sand. And I learned to let go, to let the past drift away. I realized that in this long, winding journey of life, where pain once felt like a sharp blade slicing through the heart, it eventually fades into faint scars, reminders of inner strength, that freedom isn't about running away, but about releasing what no longer belongs to you, so your heart can soar like a bird across the open sky.